I'm Craig Beaumont-Flynn. Welcome to Beyond the Design, a show that gives you a peek behind the curtain of the design industry and shares the stories of those that are the driving force behind it. Well, welcome to Beyond the Design. Today we have with us Greg and Alexa from Dwellify. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell us a bit about the origin of Dwellify and what inspired you to enter the home modeling industry and what started the business?
Well, Dwellify is a digital solution for home remodeling. Like a lot of good ideas, I think Dwellify, we decided to do Dwellify principally because I'd had roughly 3 or 4 bad remodeling experiences. And I had a situation where I also run a private equity firm, and we've invested in a lot of building products and services companies over the past 15 years. And we had purchased a company back in 2015 that had a division that at one point became the country's largest remodeler. And they did that during the Great Recession, working for banks who had foreclosed on homes, and they needed to get them back on the market. So this particular company in that division would come in and remodel the home for the bank and get it ready to be sold. During that time period, they did over 10,000 homes and became, for 3 years straight, became an Inc. 5000 company, and as well as also learned how to manage remodels in a remote fashion, which is part of our model as well in terms of how we manage them and how we're able to do them. When we bought the company in 2015, that particular division was a lot smaller than it had been. They had won, like I said, 3 or 4 consecutive years of America's Top Remodeler because of their size. Did it in all 50 states and all different categories of home. And when we bought it in 2015, it was a lot smaller, but we said, hey, a few years into it, like, why don't we, using what they're doing, why don't we create something that would be helpful to people in a digital solution? Something, we've got Airbnb. We initially were looking at Stitch Fix, which is basically digital clothing customization. You may be familiar with them as well. So that was really the quick origin for it. We can spend a lot of time on why we did it and why we thought it was a good idea, but that was really impetus, was bad remodel experiences for myself and my wife.
So make something bad, make something good out of it.
Yeah.
Kind of change it around. Well, you offer a one-stop shop for home remodeling. How do you differentiate your services from others in the market and make you stand out a little bit, appealing to those that are looking to remodel their home?
Yeah. I feel like I always kind of joke when I'm talking with customers. I feel like doing a remodel for many people is so overwhelming. It's very headache inducing, very stressful. And so I think part of the reason behind that is that there's so many things to think about. It's like, and everybody kind of does it different. And they know a family member or a friend or a neighbor, and they've all done it different. So a lot of people just have no idea where to start, who should be involved, what happens first. And so this kind of one-stop shop where anything related to your project, whether that's a small powder bathroom or a large kitchen or even a full home, Dwellify will take on and do. And we have the team members needed. And so for a lot of people, it's like, it starts with the initial estimate and the design phase, and being able to talk to our team, get an initial estimate right up front that you can feel like, okay, I'm starting to wrap my head around how much I'm actually going to have to spend for this project. So many people have no idea. And then being able to work with the team on the design in a way that you have somebody holding your hand, you're seeing the best products, and then that design team is kind of along with you all throughout the installation process, really helps customers feel like my space is going to be beautiful. It's going to be done in the timeline. It's going to be within my budget. I think that's a huge differentiator from the traditional remodeling process where people are kind of just on their own to go pick materials or find a designer and find a contractor and all the things that you have to make decisions about. So I joke, like, you make one decision, one hire with us, and then we make all the little decisions for you. And I think people love it.
And as you mentioned,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said one other thing I think we look at is historically remodeling has been two guys in a pickup kind of industry.
Right.
Where, they spend a lot of time driving around, giving bids. And technically speaking, the data that we have suggests that really 1 out of 10 bids that they give, they actually get. So there's a lot of wasted time in the industry. And what we looked at is to say, hey, listen, we want people to have a best-in-class design experience, because at the end of the day, in some ways they're doing it for functional reasons, and in other ways they're just trying to beautify their home and enjoy their space more. And so we want people to have the design that's just world-class. And you'll hear us talk a little bit more today about what we have done to make, to kind of make this leading-edge design. But then you still have the issue of the products. How do I get them? So what we've done is we've gone out national products, some of the best in class manufacturers for this, with a lot of buying power so that we can be affordable to people. And then basically the ability to manage through our process in a short time frame that will be on time, on budget, and will kind of hit the mark. And that's where we use a lot of our technology and the other things that we have developed to put this together.
Well, you mentioned, that the fact is remodeling is very overwhelming for clients that don't know where to go or how to start in the phases or the application of installation and other aspects of resourcing. So how do you help customers overcome this challenge?
Want to take that one?
Yeah. A couple things. Kind of starting at the beginning is so many people just have no idea what a project should cost. And it's interesting when you talk to customers in the early stages, even about their budget, a lot of people are kind of even nervous to say because they don't want to sound stupid, because there's just so much, they have no idea. And so, allowing people to get that initial estimate up front, and then also kind of go through that design process in a way that is straightforward and, it doesn't take an excessive amount of time, longer than it needs to, and become, really kind of decision fatiguing, where they're seeing way too many options and things that aren't going to really beautify their space for the long term. You can add to that too if you...
No, I think she covered it.
You got it, Alexa. The design box with physical samples is a unique approach and feature of your service. How has this influenced the decision-making process for your clients, and what's the feedback?
Well, I think it really speeds it up. Once you've kind of figured out what the client needs and what they want, and you're able to kind of understand what the budgetary limitations or what they're able to pay, then you can really drill down. And that's what we do. That's part of our expertise, is drill down and figure out how do they get that look and stay within budget. And we've done a lot of work with our manufacturers in terms of making sure we have the right products that fit exactly what they're trying to do. And again, everything, a lot of the stuff we're doing for the consumer is making it easy. So sending the design box instead of driving around to a tile store or a flooring store or wallpaper store, paint, whatever it is, you get it all. You can make decisions. You can see it in your home. So you see with the lighting and so forth, kind of what it's going to look like. And you can make educated decisions about that. We have people, once they get the design box, say, well, I really like this. I didn't really care for this. We'll send out some additional information or some additional products so that they can make a good decision.
I mean, managing projects, remodeling projects across different states must pose a lot of challenges for the business model. How do you maintain consistency, quality, and services in your nationwide network?
Well, I think we've kind of got that dialed in very well. First of all, we have in all major markets, we have contractors. Those contractors have been thoroughly vetted. They have. We know they're honest. We know they're trustworthy. We know they show up on time. We know they do their work and they provide a good product. If they don't, they won't be a contractor of ours for very long. But we have other stopgaps too. We have a project manager. We have other people that work on it. We have regional people that follow up. So, and in some ways, it's the customer is rating people like you would your Uber driver too. So we want people to have a good experience. We want them to feel like it's like their time frame is being met. And sometimes, our experience has been one of the biggest frustrations with remodeling is you never know where you are in the process, how long it's going to take, and why didn't they show up today? And so we over communicate with them in terms of, and that's part of the project manager's role is, you may be waiting for drywall to dry and to be ready to accept paint. So there may be a day or two that is delayed and you don't have anybody show up. We make sure that that's communicated. We make sure that these contractors have, for the most part, have worked with us for a number of years. And so they've been thoroughly scrutinized. Doesn't mean that we don't have screw ups. We do. Right. It doesn't mean that people always like their contractor. Sometimes they don't. We've had to switch out in the past. But that's the benefit of going with a national company who has kind of depth in our workforce too. We've switched people out if there was a personality conflict or whatever it is. It just gives you an ability to kind of solve problems in a more rapid, real-time experience than what people do now is they get on another service and they find a contractor, and if they don't like them, they're stuck. Then they got to fire them, find another one themselves. We want them to be pleased and happy. It's very important to us.
Is there a particular project that you can think of that dramatically transformed a space in unexpected ways that you didn't expect to see it, and just the result and the client's reaction?
Yeah. One that comes to mind in particular, we did this past year a large kitchen remodel in a home that was built in the early 2000s in Austin, Texas. So the homeowner herself kind of jokes it's like a classic Texas early 2000s kitchen. It had a cramped layout, an awkward, really small island that didn't make a ton of sense in the center, and a wall that it kind of closed the kitchen off from the rest of the home. And so we actually ended up taking out that wall. It was a load-bearing wall. So that was a big transformation in the kitchen. And we kind of looked at the options of, leaving the wall or taking it out. And we ultimately decided, with the homeowner that she wanted it gone and she wanted it to be an open space. And we're happy to share some photos with you of this space as well. But you'll see from the before and afters, it is dramatic. It doesn't even look like the same home. And it now is, this gorgeous kind of entertainer's kitchen where they've got, a massive island and nice Bosch appliances. And they love to have their friends and family over to entertain and, do whatever else. And, from a customer reaction standpoint, that it's fun seeing customers' reactions on any project we do. But this one was particularly fun just because it was so drastic and it had been a project that had been on their wish list for a long time. They knew that they wanted to do it before their young boys became teenagers. Kind of have a space where they felt like their kids could bring friends over to the home. And so they were, beyond excited to have kind of their dream space actually, be a reality in their home. So that's one that comes to mind.
One of the aspects of your team is you have a remodel coordinator that is crucial in the overall process.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit how they enhance their clients' remodeling experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So as Greg was saying earlier, the construction phase of remodel, there's so many moving pieces, lots of things going on. And for a lot of people, it's a language that they don't know how to speak, and trying to figure out who should come when, and kind of the consecutive order of different tradespeople is tricky. And so having that remodel coordinator as your one main point of contact alleviates a lot of that stress of, who do I talk to and when, and who's showing up when, because you feel like you kind of have this, liaison and this kind of person that's vouching for you and going to make sure that people are showing up on time, and more just keeping you in the loop. You're not having to wonder or, communicate with 5 different people. You can communicate with the one. And I think for people too, kind of how Greg was saying earlier, if there ever are, personality conflicts, or I have questions about my general contractor, but homeowners feel sometimes awkward communicating those things directly to the contractor because they don't want that. They don't want the kind of, awkwardness between the person that's in their house all the time and doing the work. They don't want them to, screw it up on purpose if they have a disagreement. And so having that remodel coordinator that you feel like you can call or text or whatever that needs to be, and then have them communicate with the contractor, alleviates some of that kind of tension that I think homeowners get nervous about. So we've found, that's been huge for people to have that person that they feel like is really vouching for them on all accounts.
So what's next for Dwellify? What future developments can we expect from the firm? And are there any new features or expansions plans?
We continue to roll out in more markets. That's one of our biggest focuses. On the technology side, we're always introducing new things. One of the things that you'll see from us very shortly is we have been spending basically the last year developing an AI initiative. That if what we found is people usually go to home shows, or they go to Instagram, or they're finding their dream space. And a lot of people say, well, here's an image. I want that kitchen. And what we have developed will allow them to submit an image to us, and with a few questions and understanding kind of budgetary constraints, and then basically be able to, in very short order with our AI tool, determine what it would take to do a kitchen for them in their budget that would look exactly the way that they envision their space looking. So imagine someone taking an image of an Architectural Digest kitchen that they love, or any other publication, and basically, putting that in their space in whatever way they want to. That's going to be, we think, a big game changer, not just for us, but for the industry, in terms of helping with the design process, helping with the cost of what the project may take, utilizing these type of tools. And so you're going to continue to see us be an innovator and do more and more of this stuff.
So for the listener out there that's thinking about doing a remodel, what advice would you give them to ensure that they are prepared for this process?
Yeah. I think there's you can never be too prepared. And we always love when we have, very prepared customers and homeowners who they've got their questions and they've done their due diligence. I think, we always encourage people to get estimates from a couple of different people. I think that's one of the best ways to kind of wrap your head around what the project will cost. And I always encourage people as well to really think about kind of priorities for the remodel. If this is a rental property and it's not where you're going to be spending all your time, or maybe it's not your forever home, then is it really the top priority to have the best of the best materials? Or do you want to prioritize, the budget over the highest quality everything? And I think kind of reiterating to people too that, you can get cheap and fast, but that's not always going to yield the best quality. And if you want quality, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend, you have to get the best materials ever and it be importing things from all over the world. But if you want a quality product that's done well and on time, then you're probably going to have to pay more than just, the small kind of local contractor who sends you off to do your own design and whatnot. So really kind of prioritizing what's most important to you for the space, I think helps a lot in doing these projects.
And our goal is to be really competitively priced. We know that we're competing with others out there, so we want to be competitively priced. We don't necessarily always think we're going to be the cheapest option, but we do know that we're going to be the most consumer friendly in terms of the whole process. We're going to do stuff on time. We're going to do stuff on budget. And I think if you spend any time looking at reviews, our customers will tell you that we spend a lot of time making sure we understand the budget and we hit the budget and we hit the timeline. In the event that maybe there's a little slippage, it's usually because maybe the scope of work has changed, or there's been unforeseen things that come up in the remodel that or things that maybe the homeowner didn't even know certain things. So we want to deliver that value proposition on time, on budget, and so everyone feels good about it.
I mean, you briefly glanced over at the very beginning. So what were both of your interests in home remodeling and design, and how does this evolve into the creation of Dwellify? And what were you most surprised at during this journey thus far?
Well, I think for me, I was interested, why has no one ever built a large-scale national home remodeling company? Why is it so fragmented? Why, it's literally about a $650 billion a year industry. And no one has, by last check, the largest home remodeler was $100 million in revenue. So we really see an opportunity to utilize technology, to utilize some of the tools that we may take for granted in other industries, and make this. And I sometimes get tired of revolutionizing an industry. We hear that a lot, but I think we're going to be able to provide a great service that is very consumer centric and friendly, delivers quality, delivers lack of frustration and stress for the homeowner, and do it in a national way, and give people. To me, it was how many industries can you work in where you're making people's lives better? There are several, but this is one where great design and spaces that people enjoy makes life better for them and their families, and they can utilize their home. And I think particularly we're seeing now with home prices having appreciated so much, we're seeing people choose to stay in their home. Maybe they've got a 3% 30-year fixed rate mortgage. They don't want a 7% mortgage for a different house or a bigger house. We're seeing a lot more people stay in their home and want to remodel. So for us, it was just delivering on the value proposition and making it a national value proposition instead of just local.
How about you, Lexa?
I feel like I was going to say something similar to Greg, where what I love so much about what I do is that it kind of bridges this creative world of, making spaces beautiful and the whole design aspect of things with the kind of up and coming, this world of technology. And it's a good bridge between the two. And I feel like it pushes you to learn a lot, both about kind of working with people and then also, again, this tech world. And I love that about it. And, I grew up, if you didn't know, Greg is actually my dad. So I grew up in a home where, my mom is an artist. And so I was kind of always around this creative environment. And so this is kind of something that I've always been interested in.
Remodeling and just the design industry itself can be very challenging. What unexpected challenges have you encountered while running Dwellify, and how do you address them?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest challenges we've had is getting people to trust the tech. Again, it's an industry they're used to having a lot of people come and give free bids, and then it's a very different shopping experience than most of what we're used to in other industries right now.
Mm-hmm.
So getting people to have confidence in the technology that we have built, that they are utilizing to make the process easier, not just for them, but for us. For example, we have a scanning tool that we have them utilize with their phone that will scan a room, and then we use that instead of having people with tape measures come around. We can, with the scanning tool, we can create a scan and do 3D imaging of the room and help build the room the way they want it as a result of that. But people still ask, when are you coming to take measurements? So I think our purpose is, we don't want to disrupt your life and need you to show up in the middle of the day for us to do measurements. We're trying to make this a lot easier. And I think sometimes that makes people think, at least our experience, they're just not used to that sort of experience when it comes to home remodeling, because they're so accustomed to having people that will just drive there, measure for free, and then go on. And our product, we ask the homeowner to do a little bit more on the front end, but it makes the whole process go easier.
Absolutely.
I think people, they hear from others that they know that have done a remodel, and then when we tell them kind of our expectations and our process, they kind of are like, wait, so I have to do stuff? Shouldn't you be doing that? And you're kind of want to tell them, like, listen, this is going to take you 5 to 10 minutes to do this scan versus someone coming to your home and spending at least an hour. And it's that kind of mental shift for people of realizing, okay, like this is going to work just as well, if not better, but I maybe have to put in a little bit more effort of my own upfront. And so it's that adjustment. And I think once people get it, they're like, oh, this is great. I don't want to have people in my house. I'm at work all day, but it's that kind of shift from the traditional norms and what they've heard others go through.
Yeah. And I think it's probably part of the process of them understanding that it does take time. It just doesn't happen magically. You know, there is a process and phases and an order that you actually have to do to make it seem seamless.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What are some of the significant lessons you both learned in the home remodeling sector as you started this journey?
Yeah.
The changes and just the nuances, so to speak?
Yeah. I think, some lessons that I think from a kind of career perspective and in that regard, this is an industry that is very kind of team focused. Everything that we're doing, we have multiple people involved in the project. And so it's, I think, been a really good lesson for me and everybody on our team, just in teamwork and everything. If somebody's not pulling their weight or kind of staying in their lane on things, things can quickly, get off track or get missed. And so that for me personally has been a good lesson. As far as kind of lessons we've learned in the home remodeling world, I think it's been really interesting as we've worked on developing our AI tool that we were mentioning earlier. It's very funny. People do not like to be labeled as liking a certain style. Like if they show you a photo and you say, oh yeah, like you really love coastal style. They're like, no, I don't like coastal. I like this. They're very they do not want to be labeled at all. And so that has been something kind of that we've shifted, in our initial approach. And we still have these kind of our curated design packages where if you are drawn to modern interiors, here's some materials that would fit this style. And we found kind of pretty quickly that people, they didn't want to be labeled, but then they'll show you their inspo photo and it's very much a modern home, but they don't want you to tell them that. So that has been kind of an interesting learning of ours as well, which is why we're really excited about the launch of our AI tool and how that'll help customers get what they want without telling them what they
what they want, what they need, and what they have to have.
Yeah, exactly.
How's Dwellify kept on the cusp? And since the design industry is ever so changing, and sometimes it's trend driven, and sometimes it's just new technology, how do you stay on the cutting edge, so to speak?
Well, we have a lot of people that are involved with the organization, some of whom are AD 100, designers.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't, they are the experts, and we let them help drive the process in terms of what the packages will look like or the products will look like. But with that as well, we also work with our providers of materials that we use to make sure that we're delivering upon just simple things like, do you have pets? If so, maybe there's some flooring choices for you that are better than others. Do you have children? Are you a baker? Or do you like to cook? We're making sure that we kind of check all those boxes. So design and pretty design is one thing, but we want it to be usable as well. So there's lots of constituencies from high-end designers to the manufacturers who can help make sure that these products work for people. One other thing we should mention that's kind of unique in the industry, we have a 1-year warranty on all labor and materials. So, and that's pretty unheard of. And so we're making sure that we stand behind what we do and that we've recommended stuff that's going to work for you.
Leading a growing business is demanding and challenging to kind of separate your personal and professional life. How do you manage the balance between your professional demands with your personal life?
Oh,
juggling a lot.
I'm still learning that one. Yeah, I feel like a lesson that I've kind of had to learn is that work will always be there. And I feel like where this is an industry that we're working with homeowners in such an intimate way, we're in their homes and we're interacting with them about these spaces that are very intimate to them. It's okay to, and I always remind our team of this, it's okay to be, within reason, and there's boundaries, but being personal with people. And if, you've got a funeral or a wedding or a life event happening and you can't get someone something by the end of the week, then communicating with them and saying, hey, my sister just had a baby. I'm going to get you what I promised you on Monday instead of today. I think learning that in any industry and with any job, but especially in this, in a lot of ways, it builds even more trust with homeowners and with customers. Yeah. And so I think reminding myself and those on our team of that it's okay to just communicate about upfront and be transparent about kind of where things are at, and will help the customers trust you more and feel like they're in the loop on what's going on. And you'll also save yourself a lot of stress and headache because you're not killing yourself over trying to get things when everybody has personal lives as well. So
true. What motivates and inspires both of you?
I think I alluded to this a little bit earlier. I've spent, my entire 30 plus year career building companies in different areas, in different industries. But this is really fun for me. It's a little change of pace. I just feel like there's so much opportunity to, again, sound like a broken record, but I really think we're making people's lives better. And I really feel like we can build this national organization in such a way that's really one of our accomplishments is, I'd like nothing more than, to look back in 5 or 10 years and be the largest remodeler in the country and have raving fans. That's a big thing we talk about around here is we want raving fans. We want everybody to because the biggest form of referrals for our business is somebody else did a remodel and they liked it.
Yep.
And I saw that even in my failed remodels, I would say that were, and no joke, cost twice as much, took us twice as much time as they said they were going to. And people loved the output. They loved what it looked like, and they're done. And I had several neighbors in one particular neighborhood where we remodeled. I had 5 people use the same people, even though I told them, don't use these guys. They liked how it looked, and they had the same experience as I did. And so we want accountability, and we want visibility and transparency in the process. But we want people to have a great outcome. And it really drives and motivates me to do that. And we have a group that has a lot of fun together too. I think everyone believes in the mission that we're trying to do and sees the real opportunity.
For those that are out there that are thinking about doing remodeling and have heard, as you said, horror stories about others and some of the trials and tribulations, what do you think is the one biggest misconception about home remodeling?
Mm-hmm. We may have different answers, but I can go first. I feel like one for me is that a lot of times people, they're not realistic around timeline. They want to call you today and start tomorrow. And you're like, do you think that's because of televisions and some of the design shows that are out there? They think it's all instant? I do. I think that's a pretty big contributor in both the timeline and, the cost associated. We hear all the time, well, I was watching this show and they did it for this much and they did it in this amount of time. You're like, well, okay, they probably got everything comped because it was a TV show and whatever else. Right. And so just being more realistic around the timeline of things. And, if you want your project to be done by the end of the summer, you should be starting now. You shouldn't be starting at the beginning of August. And I think, that misconception is because a lot of people, they'll work with kind of handyman type guys, and they'll come in and just do things kind of pieceworky, and it's not all fluid and on a strict timeline and budget. And so I think that would be one that I would say. You may have a different answer.
Well, I think we, by design, communicate how the sausage is actually made instead of just show them what the sausage looks like. And I think it started out for us like no one even knows what a remodel costs. That was a hard thing to get. What does it cost to do it? Mm-hmm. Could I even afford it? Am I going to go through all this effort if I have a budget? If I know I can spend $50,000, but it's going to cost me $200,000. I mean, there isn't any visibility at all in that. We've taken that away. We've made sure that with our tech and with our, we can tell you what a remodel range will be within seconds. We know this because of labor costs in your market. We know that because we know what material costs are. So as long as we have a little bit of information about you and a little general understanding, we can give you a range. And then we can narrow in on that very quickly. So you don't have to spend a dime with us to at least know, can I afford this or not? And then, so there's lots of things that we've done to just basically try and address all the speed bumps that people hit to do this. I mean, it's for a lot of people, this is most of the time it's like buying a car. It's your second, you own the home or you're buying the home, and then you want to do this. It may be your second largest purchase that you'll ever do, right up there with an automobile. And so again, everything that we're working around is how do we give people visibility into how a process makes their life better, and does so in such a way that they can afford it, they get the outcome they want, and they get a quality product.
I think one other thing that I would add to that as well is, we kind of joke around here that a remodel shouldn't cost you an arm, a leg, and your sanity. And I think we're just the world we live in now, we're constantly consuming content, whether that be on social media or on TV shows or in magazines. And we see so many beautiful spaces. And a lot of people, they kind of just like rule themselves out of ever being able to live in a really beautiful space because they just think it's, not attainable. It's way too expensive. And I think that's something that makes me excited about what we do and answers this question as well of a common misconception that it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg and your sanity to live in a beautiful space. There's ways that you can love where you live and have a beautiful home, but do it in a way that makes sense for you and what you can spend. And I think that's a big differentiator for Dwellify as well, is being able to provide beautiful spaces at all different budgets. So,
where has the biggest growth in market been for Dwellify to date?
I think it's basically where you see people moving. If you look at kind of a national map, the Southeast, the Southwest, it generally kind of skews that direction. Texas has been a great market for us. Florida has been a great market. Arizona, some of the higher growth markets. And so I think that said, we're still doing stuff in the upper Midwest and the Northeast, et cetera. But I think a lot of the activity is coming in those southern and western states.
Have you seen a specific design aesthetic kind of being a trend and kind of relative to the market and the industry, or is people kind of being self-identifiable to their lifestyle?
A mix of both. I think a lot of people, they are kind of that latter of the two where they are not.
I see that. I want that.
Yes. They see it. They want it. And they also are kind of like, I want this to be kind of custom and personal. And this is my space. This is not, the up and coming design trend. That being said, I feel like transitional style interiors are popular. I think a lot of people as well, everybody wants warmer tones and more color, which I'm always excited about because it's, more exciting and fun when you're getting to do things with color. And so that's a big thing as well, which, there's design styles that I think yield better to kind of warmer tones and things like that. But that would be one that I think we've seen a lot more of in this year alone. So
take me through the process from first contact when a client contacts Dwellify. What's the actual process that you work within with the client?
Yeah. So they start, they maybe talk to our team or they visit our website. They can then get that initial estimate online. And this again is based off, labor rates in their market, cost of materials, and kind of what they want to do for their space. What's the square footage? How old is the home? What's the layout like? And that initial estimate is not just here's one number. It's broken into 3 different ranges, kind of based on the quality level of materials that you want to do. So you get a really good snapshot right from the get-go of kind of what you're going to be spending. From there, you can jump right into our design process. So we have our room visualizer on our website that's free to use. So you get that free estimate. You're in there, kitchens or bathrooms, playing around with different material combinations. And for a lot of people, it's really hard. I always joke, like you go into a tile store and you look at a sample the size of maybe your phone, and you're trying to envision what that's going to look like across your whole wall or your floor and with all the different elements. And so the room visualizer kind of becomes like a design playground, and people have a lot of fun with it. And I think, it's really cool because you can do this in the evenings. You can do it while you're laying in bed. You can do it on a plane. You can do it on vacation, and really jumpstart the design process and figuring out what you like and what you don't like. From there, you'll order your design box. Those samples come right to your door. Saves you a ton of time from having to drive out all over the place. And, for some people, it's getting a babysitter or whatever else.
Right.
Those come to your home. You then meet with our team, our design team, on virtual calls, where they'll kind of show you, additional ideas. They'll talk through what you got in your design box. We'll also have you do that 3D scan we were talking about on your phone, where you'll stand in the center of the room, prompts you to spin in a circle. That will get sent to our team, and then they can kind of come up with a new floor plan and renderings. So you do all of that virtually in calls with our team, until you've really fine-tuned the look of the space with both materials and the layout. Once you've kind of finalized those details, we'll give you a refined project cost that includes those specific decisions you've made. And if it looks good from that point, we'll move into the construction phase and kind of get the ball rolling. You'll then be kind of introduced to that remodel coordinator, and kind of go from there. So that's a high-level snapshot of the process.
I mean, given that you have Room Visualizer, it's a unique opportunity for clients that have questions and never have gone through the experience. Do you find that you get a lot of feedbacks like, oh, I never knew I could do this? The ease of it, I guess.
Yeah. The ease of the process. I think people, it's that mix of people that are like, wait, this is kind of different, but I kind of like it. And it's like better than other people I know that have done a remodel. And I think that they also like the speed at which they can start a project. We had a client that we went to their home. We had the field team go to their home last week for like a final walkthrough, getting measurements and everything. And now they're kind of this week finalizing the materials and the design. And it's going to be like a 2 to 3 week design process. Whereas for a lot of people, this would take weeks, if not months, to pick everything and go through everything. And so I think people are pleasantly surprised at the speed with which they can actually do projects. It becomes very real. And it turns into something that was maybe a pipe dream to, I'm going to get my dream kitchen next month. This is great. So
as you started Dwellify, I mean, obviously technology is a significant component. Are there other tools that you're looking at to incorporate for the guest experience and specification and design, and also to further expand Dwellify and its capabilities?
There's a number. Some of them we're not ready to fully disclose.
Divulge.
But we want to be we want to have best in class design, or I should say world class design, not best in class, world class design from. And we want to make this available to the masses, and so I think what we're really looking at is tools that can do that, tools that will give people confidence in their decisions, and that may be some collaborations that we're working on with leading designers as well that people may like and say, hey, everything that this particular person does, I like, and so I'm just going to trust that they've picked out products that work for me. We're really focused on the consumer element and the experience, and trying to make it as easy as possible to do a remodel. We think there's a lot of people out there, and we run into them, and some of us who've thought about this for a long time, and just whether it be the cost, whether it be the effort, whether it be that they have to sleep in their basement for 3 months to get it done, or do they have to move out? We're trying to make all of those things, while painful, as least painful as possible.
You mentioned a project that you got a lot of response from was the kitchen. Has there been a particular response or feedback from a client that made you say, we hit the mark?
Yeah. I think this kind of goes to, what we've said about just how rewarding what we do is, and how this is, like Greg said, a purchase for many people that they've saved up for years. And they want their kind of dream kitchen, and they have a growing family, and they want it to be a gathering space and one that they can enjoy for many years to come. And there's been times where one kind of project in particular that comes to mind was for a family where both the husband and wife were educators, and they had saved up money for years to be able to do this project. And they had, young boys, and the previous space was just not functional. And when she saw the finished product, she seriously broke down in tears. And that's really cool. It's cool to be a part of those moments. And there's probably few jobs that you are, making people cry over what you've given them. And so that's a really kind of exciting thing for us about what we do. And we don't take, these projects lightly. We understand that this is an investment and this is where you live, and you want to make sure that things go right because it is an investment, and you want to make sure that it looks good because it's an investment. And so we take a lot of pride in being able to help our customers through those parts of the process that we know mean a lot to them.
What advice would you give to someone that's listening and they're on the fence about remodeling a bathroom, a kitchen, or just a living space?
I think a piece of advice that I would give is, it never hurts to, just because you get estimates, and you maybe, even for us, our design process is $299 for, the design box of samples, meeting with our team to kind of get a layout and renderings and pick materials, and that refined project cost. That's a small investment in the grand scheme of things. And if you're considering doing a project, it never hurts to get that information kind of figured out. And then maybe you realize, okay, this isn't going to be something I'm going to be able to do for 3 months, 6 months, however long, but at least you've been prepared ahead of time. And I just think the more prepared that you can be as a consumer, the better. And having all of that information is going to benefit you.
Knowledge is good.
Yeah.
Is there anything, Alexa or Greg, you want to share or tell us about that we haven't covered?
I think we've taken a lot of time here, and I think we've covered the main points of Dwellify and why we work. I think, to me, if you're going to remodel and you want it to be pain, it's not going to be pain free. Everybody has a little bit of remodeling, but if being on time and on budget and getting exactly what you hope to get is a priority for you in any remodel job, I haven't seen a team that's able to execute as well as we are on those three critical kind of decision topics. And I think there's been a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of capital deployed in such a way to make the technology be workable for this industry, for the consumer. It's all about the consumer and making sure that they get what they want, at the price they want, and that they're happy with it, and happy with the outcome. We know we'll be successful if we continue to do that.
Well, we're almost out of time. So where can someone get in touch with you?
They can visit our website, dwellify.com. And there they can find, all the information they need to get started on a project, from design ideas and inspiration to getting that free initial estimate. And they can also follow us on our socials. Instagram is probably the best for seeing our most up-to-date and recent projects. And we're on there as Dwellify. So
perfect. Well, Greg and Alexa, it's been an honor to have you both on our show, and much continued success to each of you and Dwellify.
Thanks so much.
It's an honor to be here.
All right. Well, we'll chat soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Design. Subscribe for more inspiring conversations to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. See you next time.